Welcome to the Floyd Memorial Library podcast, a window into the soul of the North Fork of Long Island. We'll delve into the pulse of our community, its pressing issues, promising opportunities, and the rich stories that weave our shared history. I'm your host, Christopher Bianchi, and for episode 110, we sit down with Seung Lee, a Korean-American artist and professor at LIU. Seung shares his incredible journey beginning with his childhood in South Korea, where he faced many challenges alongside his family, including his eventual move to the United States with his mother and 5 brothers. He opens up about his time in school, his early passion for the arts, and his transformative years in Baltimore, where he had the opportunity to attend the Maryland Institute College of Art. Seung takes us through his experience at Pratt Institute, where he pursued a graduate degree in the arts, and the struggles of balancing creativity with making ends meet, including his time working as a taxi driver in New York City. We dive into the art scene in New York City, explore Seung's own artistic process, and learn about his time teaching as an adjunct professor before becoming a full-time art professor at LIU. He also talks about how he found his way to the North Fork, his current artwork, and his teaching philosophy, offering valuable lessons he's learned along the way. So I hope you enjoy episode 110 with Seung Lee. This episode was recorded February 7th, 2025. Thank you so much for coming on to the Floyd Memorial Library podcast today. It's really nice to have you on today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. And in the beginning, I'd like to just start off, if you could give us a little introduction about yourself, where you were born and raised.
Well, originally I was born in Seoul, Korea, but not exactly Seoul, this little outside of Seoul, little village called Gyeonggi-do. And I grew up there, then I moved to Seoul on my teenage age. Then I came to the United States when I was 15. And my family, we came to Newburgh, New York. The reason being, that's where my uncle, who was American Army sergeant, was stationed in Newburgh. So we landed there for 6 months. Then we moved to Baltimore to start our business, my family. So I came to this United States with 4 older brothers and my mom.
Wow.
Actually, my mom came first because at the time, you have to be blood related to be invited, immigrant. So my aunt invited my mom. So my mom came first. Then she settled in. Then she invited us. So all the 5 boys came after my mom kind of came first. Now my mom and we are blood related, so she was able to invite us. Yes. So that's how we end up in United States.
Wow. And could you tell us a little bit about your time growing up in South Korea, though, as a child? Because what age did you move over here?
Yeah, I came here when I was 15, but the reason that we came to this United States was because we were very poor in Korea. Because now when you talk about Korea, everybody think, oh, they are very kind of rich like us here, but not in 60s, 70s, and 80s. With the Seoul Olympic in 1988, the Korea became more industrial. Samsung and LG and Hyundai, everybody, the big corporations start to get bigger internationally. But before that, we were third world. So when I was born into one family that my father passed away when I was 5. So, I mean, in Korea at the time, man was the bread maker.
Yes.
So my mom had 5 boys, and I was the youngest, and she didn't know what to do because she were trying to kind of sell up whatever we had. Then eventually because I was the youngest, so she took me to Seoul, bigger city, to look for a job. So I follow her everywhere, even though we didn't have a really steady place to live. But I happened to be the youngest, so she just took me everywhere. So since like probably the age of 7 to before I came here to 15, I lived in Seoul, different area. And when my aunt heard about our struggle in Korea, that's when she started to invite my mom. Then we came to United States. So in my career, very young, when I was in village, that was very good, fond memory because I was with the whole family, my brothers, and we were never separated. So when I came to Seoul with my mom, that was, to me, was a lot of bad experience because I saw a lot of mistreatment by the society and the man to my mom, who was like just looking for a job, but she couldn't find a job. But I saw a lot of kind of bad things that at a young age, that why people acting like this, why they treat my mom so badly, not just because it's my mom, but as a human being. So at young age, I think I was questioning a lot. I think which I think about it now, it helped me being an artist. So it is kind of 2 part in my time in Korea. My village time was calm, quiet, versus when I moved to Seoul, then it was dirty, not just the environment, but the struggle, cannot find place to eat, sleep. So it's a 2 different kind of setting I grew up in Korea.
And you said that your mother had a hard time finding a job, or was that just because she was a woman at that time in terms of looking for a job? But then even with people seeing that she had children to take care of, people still weren't supportive
No,
of helping her.
because the sad thing is, before she got married, she was one of the very few lady who went to college at the beginning to get education. She was an elementary school teacher. Then she got married. She had to give up the job. And once she lost her husband, she couldn't find any teaching job or day. So she was doing a lot of day work job. But even then, they kind of treat her like, oh, she's a woman. She cannot really carry the stones or whatever like a man. So she was very struggling. And eventually, I think coming to United States was the blessing for us, because without coming to United States, I would have been never had a place to eat or place to have called home. So it is, to me, with all the craziness going on in this world, especially United States, I still love being here because this is the most only country I know of who have opportunities still. That if you work hard, you can get to some place.
Yes.
So coming from the background, like the way I grew up kind of helps me a lot to really appreciate when people, a lot of times we cannot be happy with everything what's going on, but still the core of America is still there.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what I think it is something I keep reminding myself. I think it is very important.
And then also, when you heard that you were going to be moving to the U.S. at, it was age 15 or 16?
15.
15. What was going through your mind? And
I think it was, even now, a lot of third world South America, especially nowadays, or like people trying to immigrate to the United States, it's the same thing because we were, at the time, Korea was like poor and third world, that we kind of fantasize about America because we knew that being in the United States will save us in terms of you don't have to worry about starving. As long as you're working hard, you can get to some place. So I think that's what still drives a lot of people to be in this country because that's how we were, that we were so excited. So we scrapped a little bit of money. And because I was the youngest, they said, oh, you got to go to English Institute to learn some English, which was a waste because in 6 months I cannot get anything really learned. But at least it's like excitement. So you sell up whatever little bit you have and trying to come. I remember coming to the United States with my 5 brothers. My mom had took out the loan to buy us a ticket to get to the United States, plane ticket. And our 5 brothers, we sat in the airplane, and it was because I took some 6-month English class. They will keep telling me, go talk to them, go talk to them. They don't realize it's not something that you can pick up right away. So then also I always say we came to this country with all the loan of airplane ticket, and we had $20 in our pocket. So that's how we came to the United States.
Wow.
So it is kind of like almost a dream to be in the United States. Like that's what is kind of sad to hear all this story about the immigration issues. I do understand that, like, you cannot just come in and commit crime and things like that. But there are majority of people. It's a survival, really.
Yes.
It's a survival because I cannot imagine if I was still in Korea at the time. I was just lucky to be in the United States, but we just couldn't find place to eat, get a job, and place to sleep. So it is something that people forget as a human.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
kind of repeating itself.
Yeah.
Repeat history.
Yeah.
In a way. And then, so when you got over here, did you go to
Newburgh, upstate.
Newburgh, New York. How did you settle there?
It is interesting because I was the youngest.
Yes.
So I was the only one they had to put me into school. Because my oldest,
high school?
I think it was middle school.
Middle school.
Because 15,
yes.
But my English was that good, so they just lower a couple grade. So I end up, I think they put me in 9th grade, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first experience of going to school was, I don't understand what they're saying. And nowadays I think it's easier because they have ESL, English for second language. But they didn't have anything like that. So they just kind of put me in the school bus. And I went there. And luckily people were nice. The teachers and students And maybe to me, they were nice, but I don't understand what they were saying. But they took me by hand and took me to class, because it was a very different system than Korea. Because in Korea, you sit in one classroom, then different teacher, subject come in and out. But
they just rotate. But here,
we
move to different classrooms.
So I didn't know. So they will take me to different places after a week, different. Then I kind of understood what I have to do.
Yes.
So I have to I always kind of joke about it now, but it was very difficult time in terms of you don't know how to communicate, and you have to spend whole day just sitting there, pretend you're listening to something.
But you're not really getting too much that's coming in terms of the subject.
Yeah, because they were more kind of, it's not like elementary school level. You're doing A, B, C, D, or say hi, how are you type of thing. So one of the benefiting back was that I had to kill time. So I kept drawing. So I always kind of joke, but it's not really joke. That made me a good artist.
Yes.
Because I got more practice. So I mean, it is kind of looking back, it's all the struggle I went through made me better artist. So in a sense, life is great that way.
Yes.
There's no such thing as a bad thing in life. Everything is a learning curve, or it helps you to become who you are at the end. Yeah. So I really, with getting older, I look back a lot to what made me who I am today, because that's what artists do. We always have to reflect, why am I here? Why am I doing this nonsense thing? But in a sense, I think those kind of looking back, trying to get a little sense of my reason for being here.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm curious, even in school, did you gravitate towards any specific subject matters at that time, or were there art classes that you could take within school?
I think because of English barrier, I concentrate on so much in art, but then I think I had some ability in art, because I remember the art teacher, they had the parents conference day or something. They call my aunt and my uncle, and they recommend I was very talented in art. I should kind of trying to be an architect or some sort of art related. So I remember that. But then we moved to Baltimore area after like less than a year living in Newburgh. So my high school days were in Maryland, in Baltimore area.
Oh, okay.
And obviously because of the language barrier, I was really into art, and I was good in soccer. It was just naturally, because in all other country, everybody plays soccer. So they really want me on the team, because I was a very good player. So I think they had to graduate me because so I can keep playing.
Yes.
But then I think my English got better toward, I think, like junior year, because I was watching a lot of cartoon at home, which helped me because it was more visual, so I can connect to what they're saying. So I always tell them, I said, how you learn English? I said, mostly watching cartoons. Yeah, because it was easier. It's a more lower level.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's how I start to pick up language, and things like that. Of course, I got into a lot of high school troubles, but
Yeah.
that's a part of high school thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, did you know what you wanted to do coming out of high school?
I really want to be a soccer player.
Soccer player.
Yeah. But it is just like life takes its own kind of, you have to kind of let it go with it. Because that's what I was gearing toward, becoming get a scholarship playing soccer someplace. But I broke my ankle on my senior year. So I kind of dropped that, and I was going to just work for my brothers, who by then they were starting to business like grocery store and dry cleaning and pizzeria. My brothers start business, so I was going to just work for them and become one of them and make money. But then I had a wonderful high school teacher where he knew I was in his eyes, I was very talented, but he kind of knew that there's no way I will go to college because I don't know how to apply. I had no support system. So he was teaching part-time in the evening at the Pratt Institute, College of Art in Baltimore.
Yes.
At the time, I didn't know what college from what college. So I had no idea. It's a very good art school. But he was teaching graphic design at night, so he had some connection there. So he helped me kind of one of the portfolio day. He gathered all my artwork. He said, "You're going to come to classroom on Saturday." I said, "Man, I have to go into classroom on weekend." So I showed up, and he took me to the school. He presented the portfolio. He got me into the school, and because of him, I was able to continue education. So it was kind of, because of that, I think I always believe in life. There is someone always out there who's going to help you.
Yes.
Yeah, so I always think I want to be one of those one day.
Yes.
Because I looked through the whole my career. There was always somebody. So it's like we kind of say there's an angel out there. I strongly believe that. Because there's always someone. So I always said, don't get down so depressed, because there's just keep at it. Someone will be helping you. Or maybe it's like it's part of nothing, but they affect such a great change in your lifetime. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's how I end up going to college, because of one man decide to say, "Oh, well, I'm there anyway, teaching Saturday class or something, so I'm just going to take his portfolio with me." So that's how I got into college.
And around what year was this?
That was 1980.
1980.
So I graduated high school when I was 20.
Okay.
Yeah, because I got put back.
And how was Baltimore at this time? Was it, because I've heard the 80s was kind of a tough time, and was Baltimore struggling?
Yeah, I think my brothers, first business was right in the dangerous Baltimore, like, corner grocery store. And I remember on the weekends sometimes I go out there. Now I can remember how dangerous it is now, but at the time
you were just like, what it is.
Yeah, it's what it is. But I do remember overhearing from one day my brothers, my two older brothers, they were working together, and my mom, they came home all like crying and stuff. And I just didn't know what that was about, because they tried to hide all the hardship from me. because I was the youngest. They don't want to. But I think they got robbed by the gunpoint. So now I think back, I think they got robbed a couple of times. But they never wanted to kind of express it.
It's move on to the next day and keep going.
Yeah, so I do remember it was a very, very rough area. But,
at the time, you're...
Yeah.
Like, I'm in the U.S. and...
Yeah, I'm like, still they had an opportunity to get the store, you know? Yes. If they were in Korea, we'll be working for somebody for, like, nothing. So, to them, the danger is nothing to them because it was their business. So they were making money, so which they never had before. So to me, Baltimore was a really rough city. Yes, even today is rough.
Yes.
Yeah, because it was.
Definitely.
I remember now. It was area around Johns Hopkins Hospital.
Yes.
But most people think Johns Hopkins is like a prestigious university, and
but the hospital was in a tough area.
Yes. Just walk out. It's like all abandoned buildings, all the drug addicts hanging around. Yeah. Yeah. But it is something that's kind of interesting to kind of think back. If in this state, how much I know, I would have been scared to death.
I know, yeah.
It's kind of funny, interesting, because I think we human beings are naturally have kind of survival instinct that we know how to kind of disregard or overlook at things when you are about survivor. I think that's what kicks in a lot of times.
Yes. And then, so now you were going through MICA was that for your undergrad?
Yes.
And did you gravitate towards any specific medium within the arts at that time, or were you kind of exploring a wide range of...
I think as a foundation, they trying to introduce to a lot of different area, but because I was drawing a lot, I was always interested in drawing, and that's what I was good at. But I mean, I did some paintings and some printmaking and sculpture. But I think even to date, one of my most material that I really enjoy working with is charcoal. The dry pastel or charcoal. I think, you see, a lot of times I try to look back at my childhood growing up. Why am I so attached to certain medium? I think that's because when I was in Seoul, that I have to spend a lot of time by myself, where my mom trying to go look for a job. And I found myself drawing with the stick on the dirt a lot. So that, to me, was kind of similar. It was kind of dry pigment, dirt. So that's what I'm gravitate towards, charcoal, dry pastel, I think. Because I'm just feel, when I touch it, it feels so natural to me. More so than, I mean, I do paint, but more so than grabbing brush with the paint.
Okay.
But on my senior year, I had an opportunity to go study in Italy. So I I finished my last year in Florence. That's when, believe it or not, the reason I decided to go to Florence was because I was really into very traditional method of drawing and painting. But when I got to Florence, Italy, things switched because I was like overwhelmed with all this Renaissance fresco, every church I walk in, a museum, And as a youngster, I would start questioning, why am I want to repeat this? They did it already. It was really strange feeling I had. That's when I started to explore more different material. Then I started getting into the printmaking, more even photography. I started getting into sculpting. It's very strange. It's kind of more like a reverse. I went to Italy to study more about the tradition. Then after a year, I got out of there with exploring different mixed media.
Yes.
It's
kind of like, even though you were going there to learn that traditional,
yes,
like, let me try to explore some other mediums, because it just feels more like you're replicating
exactly.
the same.
So it was very strange experience. Think back, it was just natural at the time, but it just really think back. It's like that was if I really wanted to go explore, I probably should have gone to Germany or something. That's when like more contemporary painting, everything was going on.
Yeah.
So it was kind of interesting how things worked out.
Yeah. And then even after graduating from there, was that when you moved to New York City?
Yes. So this is what happened. When I was in Italy, senior year, and I really do not want to go to grad school because I thought, like, being an artist, you just have to make art and trying to kind of make it. But school wasn't important because I think I didn't have I had one or two professors that were really like into teaching, but there were a lot of professors I had was almost, they were there as a frustrated artist. That's the feeling I got when I was youngster. So I never wanted to continue. But one day I got a phone call from my mom crying on the phone from United States saying, I heard you're not going to continue your education. I was, oh, my mom, because the poor lady suffered all her life for us. So it was almost like, oh, I guess I can do this for my mom, apply for grad school. But I'm glad I did, because that's when I started to apply to different school. Only reason I really wanted to come to Pratt was because everybody say, as a young artist, if you want to make it, you have to be in New York. That was the main reason I think I applied to Pratt. Other than, at the time, Pratt was considered one of the best school.
Yes.
So that's how I end up in New York.
And what year was that you moved?
That was in 1984.
And how was that experience arriving there? Was that your first time?
I mean, we took a field trip from when I was in MICA. So I came to a few times, go to Whitney's and MoMA and things like that. But come to live in New York at that time by Brooklyn, Pratt area was really rough area.
Yes.
At nighttime, you're not supposed to go out, really.
Yeah.
But it was kind of interesting time because I came to Brooklyn because I was looking for cheapest apartment. And I found one apartment, and it was very cheap. But I got first apartment, it was in Williamsburg. And midday, someone came in, broke down the door, stole everything. So I said, oh, I got to move closer to school now. So then second apartment I got in Myrtle Avenue. That's close to Pratt. And one Saturday I went out to drinking with my friends, came back, whole building was burned down. So
wow.
Later, my experience I had in New York came like within like 6 months. I got a burglarized and I had a
Building
apartment got burned down. So, in a sense, it didn't really like. It was really weird feeling especially when I discovered my apartment was burned down. That freedom feeling I had, that I had no idea. I was kind of like so uptight with money and materialistic without knowing it, that seeing that, having everything gone, just gave me some kind of freedom as an artist that also reconnect me from my childhood to that point where I had nothing. So it was a very strange time for me. But at the time, of course, I was like, what am I going to do now? So I didn't want to call my brothers for help. They could have. But it was just one of my things. I said, you know what? I want to survive without any help. So I hid it from my family. Then I said, oh, you know what? I'm going to survive. So from Baltimore to New York, I decided to I slept in the street a couple of times. But it was interesting that homeless person who I was hanging out at the Washington Square said, what do you do? I said, I'm trying to be an artist. I came to New York to go to school and my apartment got burned down, so I got nothing. And he goes, you know what? Taxi driving is the best job for artists, I heard. I said, why is that? Because you can just go to work whenever you want. So I said, ding! I don't know anything about the New York street, but sounds good to me. So it was very easy to get a hack license to drive a taxi, because you just have to change the class of your license. There was no any extra test or nothing. So I did that. I went to the motor vehicle and I started driving on the weekend, the yellow taxi.
You just, whatever the taxi company or the city taxi.
Yeah, they have a big fleet, they call it. Then you just go in, they present at the little window. You slide in your hack license. Then you wait for your taxi. Then you drive for 12 hours. It's a rental car.
Yeah.
Then each day they have a different fee. Then you just pay whatever you make. That's why yellow taxi driver in olden days were driving crazy, drive so fast. Because more passengers you pick up, you make more money.
Yes.
So that's how my first experience in New York was.
And how long did you do that for?
I ended up doing it for 6 years.
Wow.
I started off as like weekend, whenever I need money to pay for my rent or supplies. Luckily, tuition was so inexpensive at the time. So I got some student loans. And so that's how I went through my Pratt days.
Your Pratt days, yeah. Were there any interesting stories or just interacting with people that you were driving around? And
it is. I always said I had a 2 gun to my head, because I got a 2 robbery. One is a real gun. I know for a fact, because that one gun that hit my head, it was metal. But second one wasn't gun. But to this date, I say I could just turned around and whammed them. But good thing I didn't, because it was one of those things, being at the time in late 80s. You have to kind of keep telling yourself, if you get robbed, just give it to them. Just give it to them. Because life is more important. So it's one of those things, before you sit down, you have to kind of keep telling yourself, prepare for it. So because how dangerous it was. But then A lot of people, they had this partition they drive with. But I didn't want it to do that because I wanted to just kind of 12 hours. I wanted to talk to people.
Yeah.
So
was it like a plastic thing you put
yeah,
up?
that you slide to
Yeah.
close it. But I never did that. I just left it open.
Mm-hmm.
But it is interesting time because that's where I learned how to communicate with people, that different type of people. Up to that point, I was like, there's a Korean friends, Korean society, and there's a school friends. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't experience any different social status or race, even though I was going to school with not a different race. But that driving experience really helped me to understand each individual are so different. Whether they had money or not. There are totally unexpectedly so homeless looking person coming into the cab. They are the nicest people you ever met. Then some very rich people, some are very snotty, but some are very nice. So that's when I realized every human being are so different. It doesn't matter what race they are, how much money they have, it doesn't matter. The classes. So I start to learn about how the humans should be treated equally, no matter what. So that really was best learning situation I was into, other than just making money to survive.
No, that's definitely, like you said, it kind of got you interacting with a wide range of people outside of students. And,
Yeah. My comfort zone, so-called.
And were there any professors at this time that were interesting or influenced you in certain ways?
I think I was more influenced by just what I was interacting, more so than, because we were in 80s, so that's when a lot of East Village, a lot of graffiti artists, the street art became really popular. So driving taxi cab and hanging around in East Village, so I started to do a lot of mixed media art. And because my apartment burned down, I had no money, which was great because I had to look for material and I didn't want it to spend money. So driving taxi cab was fantastic because I get to see the trash, good trash, to me, art material. So every time I see a roll of paper, roll of something, or some fun, interesting object, and I was, excuse me, can I stop quick? Then I open the trunk and I will pop it in the cab. So I bring home and I work with a lot of, so that's where I taught me, because I didn't have money, and also because I had a time, I was looking around a lot. So it was helpful as an artist to become more open to things instead of just comfort zone of just painting or drawing. So I was able to start to using a lot of different material, what I found, and assemblage become a big part of my art making, and which I still do.
Yes.
Yeah, I collect a lot of, my wife call it junk. I'm a hoarder, she calls me.
No, that's great though. And yeah, it's kind of just different objects you found throughout the city, and at that time it probably felt like the whole city was a free zone to just, there's probably stuff all over the place.
Oh boy, it's like, also one of the best part was because Soho area was all kind of like more well-to-do artists were living there.
Yes.
So I just know where the trash pickup days are. Then you get like nice canvas for free.
Yes.
Half worked on and there's just its own trash. So that mentality kind of stuck with me to today. I even, like, after semester is over, I even announced to the students, if you're going to go outside and throw away, just leave it in classroom so I can use it.
Yes.
So I just love the fact, like, I'm recycling, but it became, I think that became something that I'm accustomed to, because since I was young, because I was on the street a lot. So it feels comfortable for me using someone else's throwaways, because I myself feel like I was recycled. If I was in Korea, I don't know where I would be right now. I would be probably dead, starving to death, or stealing things. I'll be in jail. I don't know. But because I'm in the United States, I'm recycled to be who I am today. So I kind of like that whole recycling aspect. And also I'm helping environment. So I cannot go wrong with that.
No. And I had another question about New York. You mentioned the Soho area, but in terms of the art scene, even because you were there after graduating from Pratt.
Yeah, I was hanging around while I was going to grad school, and after I stayed in Brooklyn.
Okay, but what did you think of the art scene, or the galleries and art students, and would you go to those openings and?
Yes, I mean, at the time we go to opening because we get free drink and food.
Yeah, but I think that's even popular today.
Yes, because it was as a college, student. It was just yes, it's nice to go mingle with the other artists, but it's more for free drinks to get. You don't have to spend money to get drunk, or they used to serve good food on certain openings, which they don't do that anymore.
No.
You don't have to have a dinner.
Yeah.
So it was a wild time, actually, because the East Village was kind of very booming. So you run into a lot of famous artists. Keith Haring, I ran into a couple times. And it is kind of like everything was more oriented towards street art and anything goes. So it was kind of perfect for me at the time, that what I was doing, and hanging out the galleries and meet these people. And meeting Nam June Paik was a big deal because he's Korean. So a lot of people, they don't know that, but he wasn't well-to-do. He came from very wealthy family, but he studied in Japan and United States, and he went located in Germany, but he was making money with his art until about 1988, when he got involved with the Korean Olympic. That's when people start to recognize him in Korea. So big company like Samsung and LG and Hyundai started sponsoring him. So I met him before that. So he's always joked, when I first met him, first joke was, even though I was a graduate student, he said, "Oh, so which piece you come here to buy?" I was like, I just come to see what you're doing.
Yeah.
I don't have money to buy anything. But it was his way of joking, say, you as an artist, you have to think about selling. But I never kind of connected. Now I think back, that's where he trying to instill that on young artists, I think. To say, no matter what, stop being a romantic. Artists, you have to learn to sell it. I think that's what the message was, but I missed it.
But what was he selling? Because he would do a lot of video art.
He was doing like sketches.
Oh, okay.
Or sometimes he to me, it was not finished. But it was like a
kinda,
takedown, like old television, radio, or something. He said like, "Oh, you can buy this one. That's junk. You do something to it, then I might buy it." No.
yeah.
It was kind of he's jokingly saying, I think it took a long time to understand why he was the first. I mean, I met him only a couple of times, but I heard he was saying that to everybody whoever comes to visit his studio.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like but then I was taking it as like, man, this guy really wants me to buy that. I don't have money.
Yeah.
But I think it was like one of this lesson he was trying to give young artists, I think about selling.
Mm-hmm. And so how long did you stay in New York?
I stayed in Brooklyn. I had a studio after I graduated. 1986 I graduated. 1987 I had a studio in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. I moved around a lot studio-wise. And I had my second fire. It was this time in studio that the store underneath got on fire. So my second floor just got burned down. So I always feel like so lucky that I had 2 guns, 2 fire. I'm still feel very healthy and nothing happened. So in a sense, it's like all those kind of things makes me stronger, that I don't need material thing to survive as an artist. So I still have that kind of mentality that nothing scares me if I don't have it. I grew up
losing those, I mean, whatever artwork you're working on, if that start fresh and
So I think that kind of, since young I had nothing, so whenever I have it, something takes away. So I almost like, okay, I think that's the lesson. I shouldn't be attached to certain things. And it is kind of very kind of metaphor for me in a sense, that those kind of events really helps me to think. It affects my art making. I'm not afraid to move on, because if that's why a lot of people come to my studio, they get all confused because which one is finished. Nothing is finished. I have like 100 things going on because it's kind of the way I am. You know, I'm afraid to finish it sometimes because I don't know what's going to happen.
Yes.
It's like they think I'm joking, but I'm not. Because there are so many things been taken away from me. So I just kind of like, my childhood was taken away from my father being die early. Whenever I have some money in the cab, I got robbed a couple times. The apartment fire took everything. Then studio fire took all my artwork. So it's like, I'm okay with it. You know, I just gave me the good lesson, who I am, made me a stronger artist, and I kept going.
Yes.
It's an interesting time in Brooklyn.
Yeah. And we can move on to, it might be a jump in terms of from there to when you got into teaching.
Yes. Okay.
This is the gap.
Yeah, this is an interesting thing. I was driving taxi cab and trying to make it as an artist in the city. And as you know, it's not easy. And I get a couple of shows here and there. And by then I got married and I have 2 small daughters, babies. And my wife at the time, which she's ex now, she was very unhappy living in Brooklyn. She really wanted me to move, get a better job than other than just drive a taxi cab. So I start to trying to get the family together and also trying to help my 2 young babies to get more steady growing up. So I started to look for a teaching job by default. Because I really didn't want to be a teacher because I see too many art professors are more frustrated artists teaching rather than they were excited about it.
Yes.
So that's what I saw. So I just feel like in teaching, it's almost you are giving up as an artist feeling. So I was very hesitant when I was younger. But then when I got into I didn't even know about Long Island, tell you the truth. I was so into city.
When did you didn't visit out on the South Fork or?
No, we just came to one vacation drive all the way out to Montauk.
Oh, okay.
A couple of times.
But otherwise,
I don't even know the difference from Long Island to Queens.
Yeah.
Then when I was looking for a job, it was kind of funny. It was taxi cab driving. One of the person I was taking to some place. We were talking, and she asked what I do. So I said, "Oh, I'm an artist, and I have a small shows here and there, but I'm looking for a teaching job." That person happened to be a chairperson at Dowling College. Now he's defunct. So that was the first job I got.
Wow.
Yeah, she goes, "Oh, we are looking for a figure drawing teacher." I said, "Perfect." Because I happened to show figure drawing work at the group show. So she went to see it, and she really liked it, and she decided to hire me. So that's how I got all the way out to Oak there. Yeah.
But were you commuting?
Then I was commuting for maybe one semester. Then we decide to look for a house to rent for our two daughters.
Oh, okay.
So we end up in Sayville because it was close to Dowling.
Yes.
So that's how I end up being a teacher and Long Island. so I'm always kind of one of those person. I'm like an immune cells almost. Like I trying to kind of be the first one. Like when I first got to the Sabre, I'm the only kind of non-white person because my wife happened to be white, Caucasian.
Yes.
So I don't see it that way. But other people always said, hold this room, this community, all soccer field, you're the only non-white. It's like, oh. To me, I don't see it that way.
You were like, well, you pointed that out, but I didn't even think about it.
Even now, my wife sometimes say, look, you're the only non-white here. Then I don't look at it that way.
Yeah.
It's a really strange feeling sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's my job is almost. I just go to places, make it people to see it's okay. We are same.
Yes.
It's nothing different.
Yes.
So I don't see it differently, so you shouldn't either.
No.
So I kind of like that aspect when they point it out and say, you're the only one. Because that's funny because the Brooklyn, I end up buying a house. I borrow money from my brothers and bought a house in 1989, the small house by Bed-Stuy. I was the only non-black in that neighborhood. But it's like I'm always kind of like that.
Yeah.
Because I never think of it that way. But
like I'm just looking for the house that I want.
When I can afford it.
Yeah, what can I afford?
Yeah, that's how I end up in North Fork, actually, Aquabog. Because I was looking for a place where I can have a house and studio next to each other. So I was getting tired of renting studios because I'm very handy. So I get really cheap space, run down space, then I fix it up. And all the landlords say, oh, don't worry, I'll never raise your rent. Sure enough, they come by, they're like, oh my goodness, this Seung really fixed it up. So so I was getting tired of it. So that's
Yeah.
how I even end up out here
Mm.
when I was looking for a place where I can call it mine
Mm.
and I don't have to move ever again.
Yes.
So
And when did you first come out to the North Fork?
um, that's 2018.
2018.
Yep, right before COVID.
Mm.
So we got very lucky.
Yes. And what did you think of the area?
Oh, I had no idea I'm gonna fall in so much love with this whole vibe, the special environment in North
Mm-hmm.
Fork. You got such a beautiful, farmland and the water, all the combination of the landscape is, I think it's just most thing that I never thought about because I
Mm-hmm.
always grew up in the city environment.
Mm-hmm.
So I first I said, oh, I might get really bored to death, but now I don't even go into city that much.
No.
It's like I get so comfortable out here.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, in a sense, it's like I said earlier. When you get, I got older, I start to always try to connect it. Why I'm falling in love with North Fork.
Mm.
That I think because my most peaceful time was when I was in that village
Mm.
before my father died. That was my peaceful time. So I think that's what this North Fork is connecting me. That peaceful, that village I was growing up. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
a very youngster.
It's almost like you're kind of going back to that, cycling back to that time.
Yes, that happy time.
Yes.
Yeah, without worrying so much.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I feel North Fork gives me, that peace.
Mm. And you feel that, I mean, you can work on your artwork and be out in more of the nature area, but I mean, you're still close to the city.
Yeah, if
to
I
go
want
in.
to. Yes. So it is kind of always, we human beings, especially artists,
Mm-hmm.
are a very strange breed where you have to keep who you are as an individual. But especially nowadays, you have to go out there to belong to community, whether it's our community in North Fork or South Fork City. It's like we are not born to be good at that kind of socializing as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
But we are almost like you have to nowadays.
We have to socialize and interact.
Yeah. To get any kind of show.
Yes.
So it is kind of really strange feeling to be a core artist, but time is not to change so much.
Mm.
Because sometimes you just want to go into your studio and make art and you don't have to say, I don't care about business aspect.
Yeah, just let me make art. I don't care about the selling and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you see, it's a very strange thing as an artist nowadays. And it is very difficult because of that reason, because of COVID, I think it was even harder.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can go anywhere to meet other artists.
Mm-hmm.
But after COVID, even I start to venture out, trying to go to openings and stuff. So it's kind of like starting all over again.
Yes.
It's like I gotta start to kind of have them accept me, almost like it's what I'm so comfortable with that now because I've been going through all my career like that. I was never main group. I was always kind of like trying to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
Then once I get fit in, I move on to something else. So it's kind of like I never get one spot. So I kind of like that in a sense because I introduce new thing for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how they like it, but I do.
Yeah.
Whether they like it or not, I'm trying to squeeze in there.
Yeah. Uh, and also, you said you worked at Dowling, but when did you start working at LIU Post?
Okay. When I was working at Dowling, I was just teaching part-time 2 classes.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you probably know, you cannot make a living teaching 2 adjunct because they don't
Yeah.
pay much.
Even
So,
today,
even today,
people
yes.
are working multiple jobs as adjunct.
It's a very, very... But I did the adjuncting for 10 years.
Wow.
So I was keep adding classes and classes. So I was start teaching 3 classes,
Mm-hmm.
full-time load at LIU. And I was doing 3 classes at St. Joseph's and Dowling. So I was teaching 9 classes a semester.
It's crazy. That's amazing.
Yeah. And I was teaching summer sessions, winter sections, and still cannot make a living without insurance. And after 10 years, I was ready to give up. Tell you the truth, I was like, I cannot do my work. All I do is go teach, get different suitcases running around.
Mm-hmm.
So breaking point came on, like I kind of set my goal. I say, if I don't get a full-time job by year 2000, I'm not going to continue this because it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I make so little money, barely paying rent, and barely cannot raise my 2 daughters.
Mm-hmm.
So I was, at the time, my brother keeps saying, it's like, why are you still driving taxi cab on the weekend? Just come. I open a little store for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I you know what, just give me, I'm going to keep doing this 9 classes, 20 classes a year, whatever I'm doing. I'm going to try to make it. And if I don't get a full-time job by year 2000, I'm going to give up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a sister Pat at the St. Joseph's College. She was the chair of the art department. And I just kind of said, she was such a wonderful person. She goes, I just said into her office, I say, you will talk about the scheduling. I said, Sister Pat, I don't think I can do this anymore. I think I'm going to quit. And she just looked at me like, what are you talking about? You're such a great teacher. So I said, you know what? You just cannot without full-time gig. I don't have insurance. My 2 daughters are playing soccer out there, and I'm almost like 50-50. As a coaching, I say, hold back instead of go for it. Because I'm afraid they're going to get hurt because I don't have any insurance. I cannot live like this. And she goes, wait a minute, just give me because you are such a good teacher. We don't want to lose you. So she created a full-time for me at St. Joseph's. That's where I started it as a full-time gig there. But still, at the time, they didn't pay enough because it's St. Joseph was very low-paying private school, but they had insurance, so I was happy. But I was still teaching part-time at LIU. So I did that for 2 years. Then one professor retired, and LIU asked me if I want to apply. So I was like, oh boy, I know they pay more. And they threw in with, we're gonna make you a director of graduate program. So I said, But it was very difficult because they reject my full-time opportunity about 5 years ago before that. So I was kind of like, well, St. Joseph's Sister Pat helped me to create this position just for me, and I hate to just leave her. But then I have to think about my career also.
Yeah.
Yeah, to this date, I feel very guilty. But then she was such a wonderful person. She understood.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I end up in LIU since 2002.
Hmm. Wow. So
Yeah.
teaching at LIU for over 20 years.
Yeah, because with the part-time, I'm over 30 years.
Over 30
there.
years.
Yeah.
And in terms of your teaching, what's your kind of philosophy as a teacher and how you've taught over that time, and even today, what do you enjoy about the teaching aspect of it? Even though obviously you had that period where you were probably just like overworked.
I think I always had a work ethic, watch my brothers and my mom.
Mm-hmm.
So that like working was never felt hard. But I think when I go into teaching room, I try to be respectful to each individual no matter what they bring.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every human being go through a difficult time on their own way. So even though they are bad students, so-called bad students,
Mm-hmm.
I never treat them differently because it's their period of their growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So I try my best treat every individual as respectful as possible, because that has been, I guess, throughout my career, I learned that people have a tendency to judge you, how you appear, how you look. So I try to stop that myself.
Mm.
So that's something that I love about teaching, because it's almost like my challenge, almost. So even though how they react to me, sometimes I can get very angry at them, but I try not to, because they are going through their own problem, that I don't know, but probably really bad for that person to act towards me that way. So it is a really challenging but rewarding that way. That it's almost like I give them a respect, and they, by the end of the semester, they see it too. So to me, that human relationship is more important to me than actually teaching part, because art making is about how you live. So to me, my art is a reflection of how I live. It have really nothing to do with what's on my head. So I try to focus on that, and it is not easy, because sometimes it's easier to have like, okay, class, this is a still life, and just draw. But I really try to understand each individual, and much as possible in the short time, how they are, why they are acting like that, where they came from, why they speak like this. So therefore, I try to really understand what they are expressing and how they are expressing, how I can help them individually. So it's still, I feel very challenging.
Yes.
Dealing with each semester. And I love that part, because life is about challenging.
Yes.
It never ends.
And you probably get asked a lot of questions throughout your teaching career with students, but what advice do you usually give young artists that want to pursue a career in the arts, and kind of navigating that in today's environment?
I think that's one of the, it probably is our society's fault about how much they put money value on everything. So it's the young student who are very talented, who really wants it, we drive them out. The society drive them out. So it's kind of sad to see that, but my advice always has been, I'll say, you know what? You cannot gain something overnight. So you just have to keep plug along. That's all you can do. And I said, you just kind of revisit yourself, what you're good at. Like I never grew up with this business aspect. I never saw my father, how they react. I only saw my brothers and mom just kind of doing this like grocery store or dry cleaning store. That's only my visual thing was. So I don't know how to deal with business aspects. So I always tell my students, if you know how to do business, don't feel shame about it. Go do it. It's okay. It's not like olden days, the romantic idea that, oh, artists have to just do your work, and if it's good enough, you're going to be discovered. It's not like that anymore. So I always tell them, trying to understand what you are good at. If we are really good at business aspect, politicking, that's part of the game. And I'm not good at those, doesn't mean they shouldn't be. So I always try to kind of sit down with them and try to analyze yourself. What are you good at? We all have so many good artists in this world. Most artists, they don't survive because they trying to be too different. That's not in your personality, just to fit in. Or they just cannot handle all the pressure of not enough having money or whatever. So I always try to say, if you really know yourself a little bit early, then you have advantage. Don't try to hide who you are. So that's the advice. I'm always trying to sit down and be honest with them. Because take advantage of what you're good at.
Yes.
That's what art is. Because you're good at oil paint, because you cannot afford oil paint, you cannot just make everything acrylic paint. You gotta know what you're good at.
Yes.
Then
Definitely.
Yeah, so it is something that I always trying to give them, because that's what the experience I had. So I can only give the advice what I went through. Trying to constantly to this date, I'm trying to discover myself.
Yes. I'm curious if you, looking back on the work you were doing at Pratt, or even then, and seeing, just, it's probably interesting for you to see if things have changed, or what you were interested in then and what you're working on currently now. What do you feel when you look at some of your older work, and how it has changed?
I think when I look back, it is about diary almost. I can almost see why I made certain type of work at the time, because it is like about dozen years ago when I was invited to Korea to have a show. Before that, I wasn't interested going to Korea, because my memory growing up wasn't that something that I always wanted to go back. But everybody says it's changed a lot. So I had an opportunity to go back. Then I visit my village where I grew up. Some reason that house was still there. And only my vague memory that I was playing on this one tree that I was climbing up and down with my brothers, and it's a big tree. And that tree was still there. It was like black, almost dead, but it was still there. It was like so warming to me. So that kind of experience made me start working with the tree, because trees, as a human being, that how the spirit speaks to you. So everything what I do is about that period, what affects me. Like now I'm into bamboo, because when I moved to Aqaba, half the property was totally overgrown bamboo and with the, like weeds and stuff. Then I start to kind of manage it, plant, because everybody said, oh, bamboo is no good, they spread. But then I start to working inside, cleaning up and lay some bricks and go in. I just fell in love with this because how strong, flexible they are.
Mm-hmm.
So now I involved with the making art about bamboo. It's almost from my experience. I try to be very honest with that because a lot of times it is very difficult because we are all human beings. Because whenever I have a show, the gallery owner say, "Oh, this work really sells. The response is good. You should keep making this." And I said, "No," because I cannot. I don't feel making same thing.
Yeah, it's like that was something you did at that point. I want to move on to something. I want to move on.
So, in a sense, that's kind of, I don't have the personality for that because I'm always looking for a challenge. So if there's an artwork that doesn't feel like I feel like challenging, I just repeating because someone says good.
Yeah, like a factory.
Yeah.
Like some artists would do that. They just like, oh, I'll keep making the same thing.
Yeah, because I see a lot of artists doing that. I don't have a problem if you have that kind of personality. But I always relate to art making as food. I love different type of food. I cannot eat same thing over because I like it.
Not every day.
Yeah. So I always say that. It's like art making is nothing different than food, really. I like to eat different food. So my art, therefore, so in a sense, it's difficult for some galleries or people to promote me because of that reason. Because throughout my career, it changed a lot. Because the video art installation, assemblage, to just plain drawings and painting. Lately, I've been doing mostly drawing and painting, mixed media, two-dimensional work.
But I mean, you've had experimented with video installation, sculpture.
Yes.
So you don't know what possible future ideas you might have, but right now you're focusing on drawing right now.
But eventually, I always have wanted to make assemblage because that's what I collect a lot of stuff, like broken antiques and stuff. On the street, I cannot just get by without picking it up still.
Yeah.
But it is, I try to be kind of like true to who I am today with connect to my artwork. So in a sense, yes, it looks very different, but it's not. When you look at my pattern,
there's still a connection.
Yeah, there's a connection because I am doing it. Nobody else is doing it. Sometimes when I get busy, people say, "Oh, you should hire an assistant to do that. Why are you still stretching canvas?" I say, because I like it.
Yeah.
It's not about making money fast because I like that whole process. It's like it is kind of every human being, every artist are different that way. So I always tell them, I'm old enough to know who I am. I think so I'm still learning, but still criticize or tell me what to do to become a better artist. It's like a lot of people always say, "Oh, at your level, you should do this, you should do that." It's like, okay, I'm pretty content. It doesn't mean I'm not learning. I'm always learning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then I was curious, just because you have had recent shows, like you said, in Seoul and Tokyo, and then also just looking at those recent shows and then the shows you have here, do you see if there's, or are there different reactions in the audiences compared to, like, say, the U.S. shows versus the shows in Korea or Japan?
It's very funny because each region, even in the United States, react differently. Because especially Asian, they really because I always incorporate with the artist talk at the university whenever I have a show. Like when I had a Tokyo show, I had a lecture at the Tama University, which is one of the best universal art school in Tokyo. And I find myself, this younger generation, respond to my work more so than so-called established art community. Because I've been teaching, so I kind of connect with the younger spirits. I don't know what that is, but it seems like younger generation seems to respond to my work more so than my so-called established art community.
Okay.
It's really interesting, especially in Asia. Because it's very interesting because I think in Asia they are responding better because I'm still using mixed media where it's not like each one, there's no way I can make the same because I don't even know which came first. Even though most people say, oh, you probably can close your eye and do the same thing. No, I don't. Because it might look same, but I don't even know how I got there. You know, it is. So I think bamboo theme-wise, it connects the Asian much closer because they have a longer history with the bamboo because they use bamboo as everything.
Yes.
Eating purpose, building purpose. I mean, you name it. They use bamboo for everything. Very different than here. So maybe that's the reason in Asia. Let's see, because I'm going to have a show in Italy this coming June. See how they're going to respond.
See how they react to that.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I just kind of lucky that I was able to show internationally, not just locally. So it makes me grow more because I take their response, how they react to my artwork in different culture. So to me, that's what I learned from those experience. Then I somehow, hopefully, I can grow with my art and also grow educating other people.
Yes.
So it is kind of interesting how different region, culture accept my work differently. Definitely, they do have accept differently.
Yes. Oh, and then I'm also curious. You mentioned that the audience or viewers they'll respond differently, but do you hope viewers take away certain ideas from your pieces, whether it's dealing with environmental themes or societal themes, or because I know some artists, they'll put an artist statement or a description and then they might not want to explain too much more and say, well, tell me what I rather hear your thoughts on observing it because everyone might get a different viewpoint.
I guess in that I am traditionalist in that way because I like to have artwork put once you leave my studio, it's on the gallery wall. I let them decide what they get out of it. That's more traditional thinking, I guess. But then I do want people to get away with idea like right now I'm working with the bamboo. I want them to think of it as don't just say bamboo is invasive, but see how beautiful it can be because the way hopefully they can, is for environmentally, especially like area like California, they have a lot of mudslides. If they have a bamboo more, they will create less. And also, since I've been working with bamboo, they take in more bad toxic air more than regular trees.
Mm.
So those kind of things that I learn while I'm working. So hopefully they don't just see it as bamboo as just, oh, that's beautiful painting. Hopefully they will go home and said, oh, that was interesting. Let me research it. See what bamboo is about. And they will say, wow, I had no idea. You can use for this, that, and it has a good quality about it. Not all bad. It's like as soon as you say bamboo, it's like first thing anybody mention.
Invasive.
That's the word they use, everybody. But they see the bamboo differently in Asia. So that's why I think it's kind of like, for me, it's a good subject matter to have a dialogue start so people can see it differently. Because we heard, yes, it is invasive, but there's a lot of great quality behind bamboo. So it's a kind of environmental things, and also it's a social thing also, because that almost to say what you heard and what you think you know is not all true. So yes, bamboo can be very invasive, but if you can see through it, there's a lot of good quality. It's almost like a human nature. Sometimes you see somebody and it's like, oh, this is a bad person for no reason. Or just they heard the Spanish people are bad, so therefore they're all criminals. It's kind of that kind of thinking is very similar with my art in a sense. I said, if I can somehow have people come look at it and say, why Seung decide to use bamboo? What's behind it? Then if they start to research themselves, or they come into my website and start to read about bamboo, why I do bamboo, maybe I'm affecting somebody. So that to me is just not just a visual thing, but there's a hidden message, whether it's environmental or social, I don't know. I do have that hidden message with it.
Yes. And you mentioned the one show coming up in Italy, but do you have any other upcoming shows or?
Yeah, I have a show, major museum show coming up in Korea in May. May 30th, it will open. And another botanical garden in Italy, Lake Como, in June. I finally got the exact dates today.
Oh wow!
It's a June. I think middle of June is the opening in Italy. So that's what I'm excited about, because that's what I'm preparing for. And I haven't matter of fact, I haven't took down yet. There's down the street down here, Main Street, Fiddler Gallery.
Yes, Fiedler.
Yeah, they have a second floor. There's 100 art piece. I got 2 small pieces in there right now. Right down the street. Then I have a couple small international show in Korea. But those are the 2 major solo shows coming up in May in Korea, museum shows. And June in Lake Como. That's what I'm excited about.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And then I think I had one other question. Obviously, you've been out here for a bit now. What do you hope for the future of the North Fork and its community down the line?
I really hope they can kind of keep this setting, don't overdevelop so much. I know they have a shortage of the housing and on, but that's what I'm really hope for, because this is farm land feeling. Plus, we got the nice communities in different spots. I didn't even know Akobak was before I moved here. So there's so much unique communities, and I hope they keep that, because that's what makes this North Fork so special. And also, it's so earthy, rare, not like Hamptons.
Yes.
Hamptons are a little too snobbish.
It's not
I don't know.
more like artificial.
Yeah, it's not the same because this is you get the North Fork. I have feeling it's like more feel of people working. I
Yes.
like that. I like that feeling about North Fork.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you run into people. It's like real.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't feel like how much I have or what is. It just feels different.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that quality stays. I think that can only happen if they don't overdevelop.
Yes.
I hope not.
Definitely.
Yeah.
No.
So that's something that now I'm becoming a resident, permanent resident. I gotta keep fight for
Yes.
to keep what's good out here.
Definitely.
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yes.
And meet more people.
Mm-hmm. No, and then I just ask if there was anything else you wanted to say or discuss that we hadn't talked about.
Well, I think it is very important for people to understand that we are all equal. Is that something that I think North Fork is start to getting more and more like from the city or whatever, get more different type of diversity happening. I can see it. So I can see some hesitancy, but they shouldn't. Because you just accept the people as who they are.
Mm-hmm.
We are all good. We are all good.
Yes.
So sometimes how you respond sometimes make them react. But so that's something that I think North Fork gonna experience more and more in the future.
Yeah.
Because it's just a fact.
Yeah.
Because diversifying is the gentrifying, however you want to call it.
Things just change.
Yes, the changing will happen.
Yeah.
So people have to start to don't try to be so close. You gotta be flexible.
Yes.
So I think that's one thing we have to live together, and with the nature and the people. I think that's the openness is what attracts the North Fork. So people have to learn from the nature to be open when they are dealing with people. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
No, so I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on the podcast today. It was really nice to talk to you and hear your story about the wonderful work you're doing. And it's really nice to have you out here.
Thank you so much for inviting me because it is kind of interesting for me to see that Greenport. I know Greenport has a lot of artists here. But what you are doing is really interesting thing. What you are doing is like you can relate to every different profession, different type of people. So that's what we need.
Yes.
Because we artists doesn't have to stay within the artist.
No.
That's what this kind of podcast, what you're doing is very important for aspect about Northport. Introducing people to, because I cannot go around to the people and say, hi, I'm Seung Lee, I'm an artist.
Yes.
But you're doing this wonderful job, so thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Well, I hope you enjoyed episode 110 with Seung Lee. I want to thank you for listening to the Floyd Memorial Library podcast, and we'll see you next time.